I don't know if you noticed, but there's millions of people living on the street, you self-centered goon. The United States is menacing Venezuela with a war, you dipshit. We're supporting a goddamn genocide in Gaza, you asshole. And the only way to stop that is to seize state power of the United States of America. And yeah, it's going to take at least 3 years minimum. Can you get your shit together? I want tomorrow for a spontaneous social and political revolution to erupt on every American city. I want crowds flying 1,000 red flags streaming out onto the streets during a general strike. I want that to be true, but it's not true. I need you to get back to reality where we actually are so we can fight for that future maybe happening. Did you see any worrying signs that Zohran is repeating the failed strategy of AOC, Bernie, de Blasio? I certainly do. What makes you think that AOC and Bernie were a failed strategy? Because they didn't win everything all at once? That's a failure to you? God damn, you guys need to read some books. I'm sorry, guys. You got to read some books before you ask me questions. Something. Just to give you kind of a general sense of what I'm talking about. The Knights of Labor, one of America's first organized labor unions, started in the mid-1840s. I think it was 1847, but I have to look. Okay, 1869. Okay, I'll remember that now. 1869. All right. Organized labor took, what, 60 years to achieve major successes? You're like, I didn't get everything in my first presidential election. It's such a failure. Like, you gotta become a little bit more of an adult, and you need to get a little bit more of a sense of history and the scope and scale of it. And there is no doubt in my mind that American socialism and the idea of socialism was rejuvenated by Bernie Sanders and, yes, AOC. And millions of Americans are now considering socialist ideas that would never have considered them ever prior to them. So as far as I'm concerned, it didn't achieve the full grasp of its ambitions, but to call it a failure at this point is just patently false and a sign of, I think, like a childish attitude towards history. And so if you want to have a conversation with me, it's got to be a little bit less childish sounding. It needs to have a little bit more scope to it, a little bit more context to it, a little bit more of a thought, instead of just stating conclusions that you've made that are not connected to reality in any way. You need to, like, give me your premises, not your conclusions. I don't give a shit about your conclusions because they're probably not based on anything. You need to give me your premises and why you believe what you believe, not just what you believe. We're going to elevate the level of conversation. You called me childish and stupid. Did I call you stupid? I'm sorry if I called you stupid. I just called you childish because, you know, you said something that's childish. If that's mean, I'm kind of a little autistic, so I say mean things and don't realize they're mean. I'm being blunt. Let's see. How about not using any leverage to pressure Biden Harris to stop backing the Gaza Holocaust? Just one of many examples. I think one of the things that is annoying is that liberals say shit that is wrong, but they use arguments and they taint them by their very presence. And one of the things that liberals have tainted that does have an element of truth is having a sense of how the American government works is important for when you're critiquing members of the American government or politicians and what powers they do and do not have. Like Bernie Sanders and AOC are not the commander-in-chief of the United States military. They are not the people that found American foreign policy. And so when you talk about leverage points, you're talking about something that does not exist, and they have used what platforms they have to call Israel a genocide. Now, I have criticized them for how slow they took. I've criticized them for various compromises they've made. But the idea that they had some grand leverage is not true. There is a bipartisan supermajority in favor of funding Israel. Now, opinions have changed among the American Democratic base, right? Like Democrats don't like funding Israel anymore, but we haven't had that effectively change politicians. Zohran is the first politician we have elected on a platform of, I am the anti-Zionist. He's not even in office yet. I need you to understand that. Zohran Mamdani is the first politician who was largely elected because he started his campaign as I am an anti-Zionist, and he has not been sworn in yet. You just are impatient. I don't know if it's algorithmic brain or what's going on. He doesn't have any power yet. AOC and Bernie Sanders do not have leverage over the American government like you seem to think they do. The American left is a lot weaker and smaller than you think it is. This is basic shit. That's why I called you childish, because you're not even really aware and you cannot describe the things you're alluding to because they aren't real. I'm sorry. Okay, how about failure to get any decent climate action under Biden backing his that was blocked by Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, and Joe Biden. We lost the election. Bernie Sanders was not the president. We lost. More people voted for Joe Biden than Bernie Sanders. What? We did not win. Why do people think this is real? I do not understand this. How the fuck can you think we won? We fucking lost. We lost. That's the failure. The failure is we lost the election. Why do you think we won? Because AOC won one seat of 435 seats? You think we're winning? You need a majority of 435 to pass anything. We have one. One does not equal 200. And what is it, 18? Like, Americans have this idea, like leftists, especially online, have this idea that the democratic socialist left is like the dominant strain of the Democratic Party. We're not. We are building towards that. The base says they agree with us in polling, but we haven't actually won the thing. You're saying something is a failure that has not been tried at all. We lost. We were an extreme, marginalized, irrelevant book club in 2016. And then Bernie Sanders took socialism into the mainstream in 2016 by fighting Hillary Clinton to California, the last primary. He fought her all 50 states and the territories, but he was defeated ultimately. And then AOC came in 2018 with a surprise primary victory with a handful of other people under the Justice Democrats label. There are only 100 members of the Progressive Caucus. You're saying shit, but it's like you're not aware of like what's happening or who is in what position. Now, I don't say this because I'm trying to make you depressed. I'm saying this because this is what's true. There's a lot of people that are Zionists who are in office that you have not defeated. You have hyperfixated on AOC's every public statement. Meanwhile, you're probably represented by a Zionist in your own congressional district. What are you fucking doing to turn that around? And the reason why I ask you this is because this is how we actually change the policy. Now, I personally disagree with the trying to make peace with Hakeem Jeffries. I think it's a catastrophic strategic error. I think we should be going for it. I think we should be going wide and trying to make as big of a splash as possible. But I also understand that even if I got my way and we primary 30 fucking people out of Congress, which would be unprecedented in American history, that still wouldn't put us in a position of completely controlling the American politics until another cycle happens another 2 years from now or 3 years from now, where we get the presidential nominee and we get more candidates up and down the ballot. And the left has such momentum that other Democratic politicians get scared and intimidated and move left. That is the way we're going to accomplish even mild social democratic reform. So that's where we are in reality. Whereas everything goes our way, we might achieve some mild social democratic reforms like the Green New Deal and Medicare for all, and a more good neighbor foreign policy where we bring back American imperialism and militaries. That is the best case scenario right now. You're talking about shit that's so fucking off of reality that it feels like I'm talking to a wall. Now, I don't want this to be true. I want tomorrow for a spontaneous social and political revolution to erupt on every American city. I want crowds flying 1,000 red flags streaming out onto the streets during a general strike. I want that to be true, but it's not true. I need you to get back to reality where we actually are so we can fight for that future maybe happening. It's like, Jesus Christ, I'm convinced socialism is real. And because I don't have a conception of the theory of mind of other people, it means everybody's on board with me now. Because I've been convinced, everybody's convinced. Do you have object permanence? And I'm sorry I'm going so hard on you, but I see so many people like you, and it's annoying. It's annoying to have to go over this over and over and over again because you don't have a fucking sense of where reality is right now. We're just starting to make progress on the Palestinian issue. We're changing the minds and hearts of the American people, but we haven't actually achieved political gains yet. Zohran is the first. It's just like very, very stupid because I'm sorry, things take a while. I'm sorry it's fucking not satisfying. I'm sorry it's not happening overnight. I'm sorry it's not like a DoorDash order where you sit on your fucking ass, tap on your phone and you click a button and then socialism is delivered to your door. I'm sorry, the international capitalist class is a lot more powerful and they have the largest state in the world under their control. Not endorsing unless they stop backing the genocide. You're speaking to the person that is arguing in favor of that. I'm to the left of AOC and Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani. I always have been. But I also see the vast utility they have for my politics. And so destroying them will only hurt me. Now, there are certain things that I will not accept, and there are certain things that I recognize as a reflection of reality, which is we're not taking out Hakeem Jeffries right now. Socialists haven't even been convinced we could do it. They think it's an unwinnable fight. If socialists aren't even convinced we could do it, what, you think that, like, look, what are we doing? What are we doing here? We have a bunch of other congressional races in New York that we're going to win. And you're turning what should be a sense of progress and victory into a fucking dour, defeatist, nihilistic loser fest. If you're depressed, get out on an SSRI. Stop making it my fucking problem. We are winning and we are changing minds. And yes, it's not happening overnight. I'm sorry it's slow. I'm sorry for being so harsh and assholey, chat. And that was a really asshole rant. I'm sorry that I'm blunt. I'm sorry that I'm an asshole in this sense. But I'm so fucking tired of this same circular fucking argument of AOC or Bernie Sanders did something tactically you disagree with. Doesn't that mean socialism has failed? No. Like, Jesus Christ, they did something I disagree with strategically. They disagree with something I disagree with tactically. They still are helping us tremendously grow our organizations and the socialist movement in general. And they have really good policies, which we desperately need. I don't know if you noticed, but there's millions of people living on the street, you fucking self-centered goon. The United States is menacing Venezuela with a fucking war, you dipshit. We're supporting a goddamn genocide in Gaza, you asshole. And the only way to stop that is to seize state power of the United States of fucking America. And yeah, it's gonna take at least 3 years minimum. Can you get your shit together? And a lot of people are gonna die between now and then. That's what keeps me up at night. And I don't know how to make it go faster. And neither do you. You know how many people died horrible deaths to get us to this fucking point where we have a chance? And you want to squander it by spending all fucking day slandering the few people that we've managed to get into power with your whiny, bitch-made, childish, non-thought-out, uneducated, illiterate, innumerate bullshit. Fucking get your shit together. It's so fucking tiring. Every fucking day with the same boring circular questions I've answered 1,000,000 times. You're just unsatisfied with the truth. It's gonna take some time. We're working on as much as we can. Just be happy I'm not asking you to fight 12 years of bloody civil war where millions die. God damn. Show up and knock some doors. Go and do some mutual aid in your city. Try to organize your workplace. Boo fucking who? It's so hard. We have the luxury of attempting it democratically and not fighting a civil war like a CCP. We're privileged. We're, first of all, part of getting to the even if you believe it's not going to work, which in my heart of hearts, I believe that social democracy has not been shown to effectively transition beyond the capitalist economy, and there's been tremendous L's taken by social democracy. But primarily, that's because the force of history has been propelled by the capitalist bourgeoisie of the United States. We haven't had a social democratic United States. So every time there's a leftist movement anywhere in the world, the United States is there with a fucking sledgehammer to crack it. Can we try making the global hegemon pull back? And you're like, nah, not worth the effort. Not worth the effort. Anyway, Venezuela will be bombed, and we will do regime change in Chile. We'll do regime change in Venezuela. We'll do regime change in Africa. We'll do regime change in Latin America. We'll do regime change in Southeast Asia. We will install right-wing governments in Europe as far as the eye can see. We'll do Project Gladio. We'll do the Years of Lead in Italy. We'll destroy a socialist revolution in Greece. We'll support fascist dictatorships in Spain and Portugal. Oh yeah, that's fine. I can't believe you're trying to make America not as imperialist. We'll sanction Cuba for 80 fucking years. There's a lot of things about AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Zohran that I don't agree with and I dislike. But I also understand something. They are on my side of the major issues. I will critique them. I will disagree with them. I will make my arguments. I'll try to make them as persuasive as possible. But I have no interest in going after them. Because if they're defeated, I will definitely be defeated because socialism will be discredited. People are going to go, you know, Zohran was a terrible mayor. You know what that means? We need to be more socialist next time. We actually need to elect a communist. They'll go, socialism doesn't work. Remember that Zohran guy? That was a fucking disaster. They're not going to go, oh, you know what we should have done? Been more left. Just like Ronald Reagan led to Donald Trump. Getting victories on the center right leveraged the far right into more and more positions of power until they got Citizens United and the oligarchs could pour unlimited money into our elections and they could attack labor unions. That led to the right gaining. So they made important strategic gains with a center right winger with a Hollywood face, and they've leveraged it into fascist gains that are now cresting. And you're like, oh no, we should just try to take one big step into communism, like it's gonna happen like that. It's like, don't you want to win? Aren't you tired of just losing? Don't you want people's lives to get better? Don't you want to stop seeing your country commit crimes around the world? Like, doesn't that bother you? Let me talk about leftism. Let me give you an analogy to explain the world. There's two types of socialists in our mind. There are socialists who think of politics like physics or math, and socialists who think about politics like engineering and material science. All right? You talk about politics and you get a blackboard out and you write down your theories. And you write down your ideas of right and wrong, and maybe you make logical syllogisms, and you point A from B, B equals C, QED, you write, and that's why the revolution will win. But when you take those ideas, those models of the universe, that is what math and physics represent, abstract models of the universe, and you try to bring them into the real world, and you try to build a fucking bridge or a building that doesn't fall the fuck down, there are variables, there are factors that you did not consider. The abstractions do not perfectly represent reality. And so politics like engineering is, you go out, you build a margin of wiggle room. You go out and you build the thing, you test it, you examine it, you see if the structure is collapsing, whether the plane flies or not. And you don't just fly the plane in clear blue skies, but you fly it through thunderstorms and icy conditions and hailstorms and blistering winds and high temperatures and low temperatures at high altitude and low altitude. You take the plane and you fly it. Before you declare it safe, before you pile on everybody to go from New York to LA, you actually have test pilots in the fucking thing flying it around. And you think about politics like it's a theoretical exercise of moral grandstanding. You don't think about politics as going out and touching real human beings and confronting the reality of your choices, and having to contend with other human beings with that prejudices and thoughts, and you've got to persuade them, and you've got to figure out how to draw them in and make them believe and align themselves with you. You give up the hard part of the project, which is altering our material world in pursuit of the intellectual one, which is what is most important to you, which is dopamine release in your brain. The intellectual exercise is pleasurable. Exertion is uncomfortable. I'm an engineer. If you think of politics like engineering, if you want to build something that actually floats, then join me. If you want to sit there with your dick in your hand, go listen to these fucking ultras who do nothing. That is the difference between me and Hasan and a lot of the critics that we have, is they're not responsible for anything. They are not trying to build anything. They are there criticizing the color we paint the boat. You are the people of uncalloused hands, and I don't respect you. It's hard to build something that actually exists in the real world. It's very easy to imagine a thing. And if you think this is perfect or the enemy of the good or whatever, you're a fucking loser. I'm sorry. This is just the way it goes.